When it comes to South Asian cultures, by that I mean particularly the Pakistani cultures, the Bengali and the Indian, and we have a large population from South Asia in UK society, then food is really important. If you think about it, the South Asian cuisine has been going on for possibly 4,000 to 5,000 years. So it's a well-established international cuisine, and people love eating, people like eating, and the foods are absolutely wonderful, but we've got to make sure that we have a balanced diet, so we don't have too many of the wrong components in our food that will be injurious to our future health. I think having a good, healthy diet is one of the cornerstones of a healthy lifespan. And by healthy lifespan, I mean a life without diabetes, prematurely, without cardiovascular disease, and even without cancers. A good balanced diet has been proven now in very large studies to lead to less cancer before the age of 75, far less diabetes, and also less cardiovascular disease. So it's absolutely pivotal. And all my consultations in patients with diabetes or without diabetes will always have some aspect of healthy living attached to it in the conversation, particularly around diet and physical activity. So the one piece of advice I want to give to all my patients, all the people with diabetes that I encounter, is to look at the meal carefully. Where's my hydration coming from? So where's that glass of water, glass of a non-sugar sweetened beverage? Where's my tea maybe, or coffee without any sugar? And then saying, where's my protein in this meal? And if we don't have enough protein, it doesn't switch off our hunger signals. If we don't have that small amount of the correct types of fat, then it won't switch off our hunger signal. And carbohydrate initially will make us feel relatively full, but it takes a long time to be satisfied with a meal that's predominantly based on carbohydrate. It has to have the right balance of the hydration elements, such as water, the protein, the fat, the carbohydrate, the roughage, so that means the fruits and vegetables as well. So I think there is a carbohydrate challenge. Whenever you go out to restaurants, you will be given a lot of carbohydrate with your food. So why not start from the protein-based, healthier component and then say, how much carbohydrate do I actually need? So I think we should concentrate on healthy eating. And although I'm predominantly vegetarian, having things like chicken is fine. It's very high in protein. But then, do you really need that rice? Do you really need that naan to supplement that meal? I'm not saying don't have any naan or don't have any rice. I'm saying reduce the carbohydrate. And one quick fix to a South Asian diet for a person with diabetes or somebody who wants to lose weight is to simply halve the carbohydrates and have the right amount of protein with each meal with the fresh fruits and vegetables. So let's take for example, paneer curry. So paneer curry with peas, which is a fantastic food in itself because paneer is high in protein, peas are high in protein as well. You've got the small amounts of fat, and that's how the curry is cooked, and there's some carbohydrate in the peas. So if you've got almost a perfectly balanced meal. Now to spoil that meal, you'd probably have 2 naans with it, which are not needed. Because if somebody's overweight, they don't necessarily need the energy that we get from carbohydrates. So the idea would be to have a good portion of the matar paneer and then only have half a naan with it, or 1 small naan, or a small amount of rice. I've been working with 2 dietitians from London, Deepa Lad and Sheena Bagaruti. And what we've tried to do is take common Asian dishes, such as butter chicken, and then say, how can we make this healthier? Well, the first way to make the butter chicken dish healthier is to actually say, why are we making it with butter? Why not halve the amount of butter and use some of the healthier oils like rapeseed oil, for example? Or can we reduce the carbohydrate that goes with it? So rather than having a portion of rice that may be 300 grams, why not restrict that to only 100 grams? So that's a cupful of rice rather than a large mugful of rice, as it were. What we could also do is, instead of using standard yogurt, is to use Greek yogurt, which is surprisingly high in protein and quite low in fat. So I think we can take any South Asian dish, and make it that little bit healthier. Another good example is idli. We all like idlis. These are the small dumpling-like cakes that we have with lentil soup as part of idli sambar. And the idlis are made from 3 portions rice flour to 1 portion lentil flour. Now, if that ratio is switched, instead of needing to have half a dozen of these small idlis, which are absolutely delicious, you may actually get away with feeling full by only having 4. I think one of the most important aspects of a diet is to enjoy it. And when we enjoy food, it's not just the taste. It's not just the smell. Sometimes it's the crunchiness of that poppadom that you're having. And also, let's not forget the actual visual of the food. So can you think of anything that looks more delightful than having a dal with a small amount of rice, but that's covered in fresh tomatoes and a bit of coriander, for example? It's the tomato and the coriander that just adds something extra to that meal, and you're going to enjoy it just that little bit more. And I do believe in having a food palette. I like knowing where's my yellow, where's my red, where's my green, particularly important, and where are the other colors. We get wonderful colors from the purple of the blueberries, of the aubergine as well, and the deep reds of things like radish, for example. I think generally for a healthy diet, we should reduce the amount of sugar that we have in our foods. So, for example, having tea, use sweeteners rather than sugar. Because all you're doing by adding sugar to any of your foods, and certainly it should never be added to any curries, but I know that many restaurants do add sugar to their curries. The great thing about the South Asian cultures is there are so many festivals. We have Eid, Diwali, with Navratri. There are so many festivals all throughout the year. And these are times of having fun, celebrating, and food will often be a part of that. However, you can eat healthily. So rather than having 4 pieces of jalebi, why not just have 1? Rather than 4 gulab jamun, why not just have 1? So it's a question of portion control and balancing it. But life is there to be enjoyed, so you must have the foods that you want to have. But just say, I've had my treat now. For my next meal, I'm just going to balance it out and be sensible. And that approach can often work. I'm afraid I'm a doctor who doesn't actually like exercising very much. I like ad hoc exercising, so I love going for walks in the countryside and around parks. I like cycling, but I'm not a gym person at all. But it's very important to be active. More and more evidence comes out suggesting that if we have good levels of activity, so I'm not saying sort of professional levels of activity, but good levels of activity, we reduce our chances of cardiovascular disease, even if you have diabetes. But we also reduce the chances of other conditions like cancer, which is quite unbelievable. But by having good levels of activity such that we're a little bit short of breath, feeling a little bit hot, and feeling that our heart rate has picked up. That's all you need to do. And that can easily be achieved, believe me, by gardening, by brisk walking, even putting a little bit more effort maybe into that housework, such as mowing the lawn or vacuum. And that means for everybody in the family, not just certain people who have always done the hoovering. We should all take part in activities around the house. But brisk walking is probably, I think, one of the most beneficial forms of exercise. It can be done in any weather. You just have to wrap up if you need to. But also, we have the great outdoors everywhere in the UK. You're never more than a 5 minutes drive away from a good park in this country or the countryside, which is quite incredible.